warning before you listen. This epic is not for children, nor for the faint of heart. We retell the ancient Greek myths as they were born, unfiltered, unsoftened. Scenes of violence, curses, betrayals, and a hunger for power that shows no mercy. Given the many conflicting versions of the Titan War, the events have been rebuilt to complete the missing pieces. Here, we tell the myth as it was meant to be told. Sources and references are listed in the episode description. Chapter 89. Curses that do not die. Hades in the arms of betrayal. When the earth opens and curses those who tried to bury hell. It wasn't morning, nor was it night. It was a third time, one only the damned know. The clock of the underworld had begun to tick. Hades stood still, but the land had changed. Something in the air turned rotten, the scent of schemes, the taste of betrayal, a silence that wasn't silence, but a trap wrapped in quiet. Coeus didn't roar this time. He simply stared at the ground and spoke in a voice that cracked a chasm between every word. Let us dismantle the soil. The earth obeyed, but it didn't break like mountains do. It twisted, as if the very idea of splitting had just remembered its body. Spirals of fractures, endless circles, illusions of paths that led only to pits that killed anyone who trusted them. Coeus's army? It vanished into the land, as if marching not toward war, but to become bait for a greater trap. Then came the other, Erebus. He didn't speak, didn't march. He breathed, and the air turned liquid. As if shadows had melted into a smoke that carried no light, only its absence. His soldiers, unseen, slid into the battlefield without sound. They were present, but no eyes could hold them. Only the temperature dropped, as if even intention had been frozen. They struck together, Coeus from below, trying to drag Hades into a pit carved by his own deceit, and Erebus from around him, trying to erase him, as if Hades were just a haunting memory, too inconvenient to be remembered. But they didn't know. What buries Hades only wakes him. He stood between the blows. No retreat, no shield, only stillness, the kind only known by those who've lived in hell longer than they've lived in time. And then he spoke. Souls of the cursed, your chance to rise has come. The earth cracked open, not by Coeus this time, but by Hades, and from the depths they came, the damned. Skinless bodies, tongues of fire, reading from books no hand had ever written, each bearing a name history had tried to erase. The ground ignited, the rocks wept, and the ashes trembled, knowing they were about to become bloodlines. Coeus tried to strike back. He raised his hand, called out to his crevices, but they no longer heard him. One of his own cracks turned against him, split beneath his feet. One of his soldiers fell into it, screaming, "Commander, the earth has rejected us!" And Erebus, he tried to vanish, but one of the fire spirits saw his shadow and burned it. The darkness recoiled. It no longer obeyed. Even the air began to scream his name. Hades! Hades! Then Hades moved. Just one step, but it was enough. To snap the mind of a soldier, to shatter the knee of the one who had carved the land as if sculpting his own thoughts. He struck the soil with his hand. A silent scream. Yet Coeus felt it in his marrow. He staggered, lost his balance, and a flame rose beneath him, not to scorch, but to carve into his flesh. Here fell the architect. The fracture began. Caesar's army no longer understood orders. Some attacked their own. The very crevices betrayed their creators. And Erebus tried to flee, but the shadows he once commanded no longer belonged to him. They turned into birds, whispering curses, circling him like a false name trapped in a will of truth. Then Hades spoke, his voice walking straight through the spines of his enemies. Those who play with fire, remind it of its origin. Then silence, as if he gave them one final chance to flee from themselves. But the land, it sealed the door. This chapter of the epic has come to an end, but remember, what you've just heard is not a record of facts, but the echo of a myth, a story born from the imagination of the ancients, etched into the long memory of humankind. If this tale stirred something in you, if it opened a door to reflection or wonder, don't forget to support the channel and share the journey with those you love. And in the comments, tell us, which moment in this chapter struck you the most and why? We'll meet again in the next chapter of this audio odyssey through time. Until then, farewell.